Silvana, thank you so much for being here.
No, my pleasure.
You are on a journey, like a whirlwind journey.
Yeah,
How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm just so excited. Like I've been working on this new album for so long, and it's crazy that it's gonna finally see the world in a couple of weeks. So I'm just, happy and proud because it costed me a bunch of energy and like effort and like a little bit of sacrificio.
Of course. Well,
Yeah.
and also, I think when you release a first album, you don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But when you release a second album, when your
Yeah.
first was critically acclaimed and won awards
Yeah.
and allowed you to play out stadiums, there has
Yeah.
to be a different set of expectations that comes with the second album.
Yeah, of course. It's a little bit like being a woman. Wait, this is gonna make sense or not, but I will try. It's a little bit impossible to como que actually achieve all this like expectations people have. Um, it's like you need to be this, but you need to be talkative, but smart, but quiet, but funny, but gentle, but
It's the America Ferrera monologue from Barbie.
exactly. And I think it's the second album. I don't know if this is for everybody, but to me felt a little bit like that. Like you cannot repeat yourself. You need to do something completely different, but you need to be yourself, and you need to be like transparent, and it has to feel like it's a natural evolution, but also it has to be edgy. I don't know, so many things.
I'm exhausted for you.
Yeah. Yeah, so many things. And I was like, and I tried. I actually tried to record this album like 3 times before I actually get to produce it myself. And to produce it myself, I kind of tried, to work with many producers and to kind of try to achieve, all of this kind of have all of these check marks of, something that is completely new, but it's still your essence. But basically, I tried to kind of reborn to the eyes of, all the expectations. And it was impossible, of course. So basically, my journey through this, production process and, through this album was actually to say, no, I'm going to do what I want to do just because, I'm an artist and I feel like I should trust in my gut and what I have to say and, be humble enough to be like, okay, this is what I want to say. This is how I want to say it. And I don't want to think about how people's going to receive it. I just want to be here in service of the music and in service of the concept and just in service of, whatever force it's the force that guides us through the creative process. I just want to be open to hear the como que el llamado, no?
What is wild to me is that I think even if you are not an artist, even if you are not a musician, that is the experience of being a woman in your 20s.
Yeah. Yeah.
That you're trying to figure out what it is you want to say and how to be heard and how to do that in a way that is true and authentic to you.
Yeah. And it's really hard.
Yes.
And it's really hard because, also now with like social media, I don't know, I'm super grateful with my fans and they're amazing. But also, I remember, being super lost in the middle of this creative process and people were like, Silvana, what are you doing? Como que, when are you going to release this album? Like, we're waiting. Like, and that I learned to deal with that, but at the beginning I was like, oh my god, I'm failing to everybody. I'm failing to myself, to my the people that works with me, to the people that listens to me. I don't know. I was really, worried about this comments, and it was massive because also my fans are super intense.
So they're a reflection of you.
Yes,
so that makes
exactly. So yeah, they were like, Silvana, como que, why are you wasting your time like this, no? And yeah, and then I was like, I'm gonna, because of the love I have for my craft, I'm gonna take my time. I don't want to rush. I don't want to do something that I don't like it, because what's crazy? If an album will live with you forever, like,
Yep.
There's no, and you will release it, and then you will spend months and months of promo talking about the same thing. So if you don't believe like fully in your art, you're gonna be miserable.
I've never released an album, but I've released a book. And I remember my agent saying to me, you need to love the cover, because you're the one who's going to be taking photos with it for the rest of your life.
Yes.
You grew up saying that music was your connection to the world. What did that look like?
I think sometimes I feel a little bit like I'm I don't know, sometimes it's hard to me to understand the real. I don't have like this como que lineal way of thinking.
Linear.
Linear, como que I always, I don't know, I'm in my head, I'm super messy, and I have a really, when I was a kid, I really, to get concentrated, it was really hard for me. And I don't know, sometimes I'm all over the place, and it, feelings are such a mystery for me. Like, it really takes me a bunch of time and a bunch of writing and a bunch of songs to understand exactly how I feel. That I guess music is actually my vehicle, my tool to like, my way of really understand my life, and to understand like, who am I and what am I doing in this world, and also makes me way more empática, more empathetic. Is that a word?
Yes,
empathetic.
It's one of my favorite words.
Yeah. So yeah, it's also my way to understand others, and to actually see through others and connect with others. So.
It's wild to hear you say that, because you write with such clarity that by the time we receive it as a final product, you actually seem like a person who's always crystal clear on your emotions. So it's fascinating to know that you're in the process of working through it for us.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the whole thing. That's the whole process, no? I take the time every time to really understand what's going on in my heart, in my soul, in my brain, in my body. And at the time I get to realize these songs, to release these songs, it's already done. Like, I'm in this place where I can actually tell you how I was feeling. Like, hey, listen to this. So I think it's that's my process. And again, that takes time.
You grew up in a house that's filled with musicians. Both your parents are Luthers. Was there pressure at home for you to become a musician?
No, not at all. Not pressure, but always this clarity of like, music, it's gonna make you happier. Like, you don't need to be professional. You don't need to be the best. Just, I remember my mother telling me, like, everybody enjoys singing. Not everybody sings well, but not everybody needs to sing well. The only thing we need from music is the joy. So I grew up with that in mind. Like, I'm gonna do this because it's fun, makes me happy, makes me free, makes me fall in love with life every time. And it doesn't matter if I'm a professional or not. but then I became a singer-songwriter. So
Okay, but then why is mommy waking up at 5 a.m. to practice the violin?
okay, yeah, great, great question. I guess my parents both were like, they are classical musicians also. My mother, it's a clarinet player, and my father, it's a double bass player. And they worked in orchestras for years and everything. And then at some point of their life, they just said like, okay, we're done with this bureaucracy of the orchestras and the academy. Let's go to Italy and let's learn how to do our own instruments. So they moved to Italy, and then when I was a child, they I guess they tried to teach me ¿cómo se dice esto en inglés? Perseverance. And como que
yeah, 5 a.m. up practicing is a good skill, even if you're not going to be a violinist.
Exactly. I think that was the whole thing, because I never felt the pressure of being a violinist or like professional, whatever. But it was like, I think they were like, hey, this is gonna be pretty much your whole life. You know, you will have to do things that they're not easy at all, but it's gonna be that way, and you better learn how to do it without, the suffering of it.
I was about to say, perfect prep for a press tour. But then you find jazz, and what had become sort of a new, like, your relationship to music changes.
Yeah.
It seems like a door opens.
Yeah.
And in that when that door opens and you start enjoying it and you start having fun, and all of a sudden you're listening to Ella Fitzgerald and you are in your bedroom scatting.
Yeah.
Is there a part of you that says, not just I love this, but this is going to be my life?
Yeah, for sure. When I first started to, study jazz, and even to like jazz and to fall in love with voices like Ella Fitzgerald or Sarah Vaughan or Billie Holiday, I think I fell in love with the freedom of it. I remember the first jam I went, and I get to improvise during the song, and I was like, what is this feeling? I want this in my life forever. And I think it was freedom, really. It was like, okay, this is the form, this is the structure, this is the harmony, this is the melody. But then you have all this space to just speak, to just speak whatever you want to say it through melodies, through whatever you want to do. And I think that changed my life and definitely shaped me in a way that connected me with creativity and transparency more than any other thing ever did to me. Like I get to really understand the value of, just freedom and also collectiveness, during freedom, during the experience of total freedom. It's like, okay, I'm going to be free, and I'm going to be free with this group of musicians, and we're going to be together. So yeah, that I really felt in love with that. I still am.
Were you surprised by how big of a success the first album was?
I was working so hard. I didn't get the chance to, like, I don't want to sound like a victim, but really I didn't have the chance to, like, feel much. I was just very happy and very proud. And also, Marchita came out after the pandemic. So everything was so weird that I didn't was surprised, like, wow, what is this? what is this?
Right.
It was more like, oh my God, this is happening. Like, I need to be prepared. It was more like an active feeling of like, I need to be como que a la altura. Like, I need to, suddenly the shoes were so big. I was like, I really need to grow. I need to
How
grow
did you do
now.
that? Did you do that?
I don't know if I guess I tried. You know, I kind of, yeah, I don't know. I dedicated so much time to like being on tour, doing press, keep writing. I I it feels in retrospective, it feels a little bit like I kind of, I became an adult in a way, which is great. But also sometimes I'm like, maybe if I could go back, I would do things. I probably try. I at least try to be more chill and to enjoy more the moment. But again, I was 23 or 24. Like, it's just try to say chill out to a 25-year-old girl.
I'm 42. I'm still learning how to chill out. So
Yeah.
if you learn, you can come and you can teach me. But then also, I think part of what happens is life also forces you to grow up very, very quickly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you turn to producing the second album, as you said, and it just doesn't feel right a number of times.
Yeah.
You go back out on tour, you suffer physical injury
Yeah.
while you're out on tour, which has to be, I'm imagining, incredibly humbling.
Super humbling and super grounding. That was completely awful because I was in so much pain.
It's a spinal cord injury?
Yeah. Basically my muscles, all the muscles that surround the column, went like rocks. I was not capable to move, and it was super painful. And yeah, I spent a month in a wheelchair. Yeah, that was insane. Now, with some perspective, I'm like, thank God that happened to me at that time, because after that I became so aware of my health and my limits and my body, and I get to realize, like, hey, I'm a singer, so my body, it's my instrument. I cannot kind of play around with it. Like, I really need to stay focused in being healthy, because this is it. I'm not a piano player, I'm not a guitar player. I really need to be okay. Also, mental health became like a really big thing to me. So yeah, and also after that, that same year, my best friend and his little brother, they both were murdered in a really like violent way. So yeah, also, yeah, that year kind of destroyed me a
I
little
mean,
bit.
how could it not destroy you?
Yeah.
Before we talk about his death and how it impacted you, I do want, like, what is your favorite memory of Jorge? Like, when you think of him, what is it you think of?
I have so many. He was the most joyful, funny, generous person I've ever met. I mean, he's the only friend I you know, we I met him when I was 13, so I grew up with him. He was that friend. He was like my house, my family, my home. We moved together to Mexico City. The only reason I could left, college and go to Mexico City to pursue my dream was because of Jorge. My mom was like, if Jorge's going, you're going. If Jorge's not going, sorry, you need to stay here with us. So I would say probably once we went to the beach and we spent the whole day just like swimming and drinking beers, and it was like such a, I don't know, kind of a normal thing to do with your friend. And we get to see the sunset, and we laughed for hours and hours and hours. And yeah, I have that memory in my heart. I think I go to that memory every, time to time, just to feel how it was to have like a light heart, because after he's dead, my I don't know, I was so like young and like light, and existence were so easy, and now it's like my heart is so heavy. um I have days where I can feel my heart as a rock. And yeah, I sometimes I go back just to remember a little bit how was that ligereza of life.
When I was retracing the timeline of your album and Jorge's death, I realized I lost my best friend a few days after you lost Jorge.
I'm so sorry.
No, and so you and I are on parallel grief journeys.
Yeah.
And one of the things that has surprised me about going through that process is that at the beginning, you're in shock.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, I was very aware of the fact that I was not the primary person who was impacted.
Yeah.
My friend had a wife. He had children. His parents were grieving. There was a lot to do. It was really easy to fall into the process of doing all the things you need to do. And then there was the process of supporting his wife and making sure that she was back on her feet and that the kids were back on their feet and doing. And it really is in some ways, the farther out we get, that it becomes real to me.
Yeah.
That he's gone.
Yeah.
And that, there are things that kind of, will I remember his voice? Will I remember the way he smelled? Like all of those things that are so visceral at the beginning, but that the farther you get from losing a person, just become harder to access. And I wonder for you, one, what surprised you about the process of grieving, and two, where it now shows up in your music and in the process.
Yeah. I'm really sorry. Something is really interesting about losing someone is that you never stop grieving. It's like every day there's a little grief, a little loss of, I still sometimes have the
you want to text him.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna call Jorge, and then it's like, oh, there's no Jorge anymore in this physical space. And and it's like every day there's a little grief. But then also I think every day since Jorge left, there's a really beautiful appreciation for life. I have this clarity of like, I don't know if I'm gonna die tomorrow. I really don't know. We really don't know.
No one knows.
No one knows. And it's so beautiful that even if we're so small compared to, destiny or whatever, we still, we're still going with our little lives, making plans, saying like, hey, let's go for a coffee tomorrow or whatever. And that's beautiful. That's beautiful because I think we, in our bodies, we have so much hope. And hope belongs to life. And I think we belong to life. So we really need to be conscious of how miraculous it is to be alive. So that, I'm always going from this side to this other side of like, okay, I'm grieving. My heart, is in pain very much. And then how grateful I am of being alive and, get to see you, get to talk to you, get to be in New York. So I think that pendulo of like reality and hope and terror and beauty, it's kind of, I don't know. It's life.
It's life. It's the human existence. But your pendulum just swung so wildly.
Yeah.
I mean, to go from a year that begins with a successful album release, with being named Latin Grammy, Best New Artist, and then a few months later, one of the things you hold dearest is taken from you, and in such a violent and tragic way.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a lot to ask of anyone to process. I think it's especially a lot to ask of a person who's very young.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely felt lost for, even now, there are some days where I'm like, I don't know where I am at, thinking of the process after Jorge. Like, sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm doing perfectly well, and sometimes I'm like, I feel this heavy darkness just as the first day. And, I guess sometimes it's also very hard to like, especially for being Mexican, no? Other thing that was really hard to acknowledge is like, okay, this is also a reality of my country. This is this level of violence, this, we really had a awful time trying to call the cops and trying to like the police help us to save them, and the police were so violent with us that also I lost so much confidence in justice, like in the concept of justice, that sometimes I'm like, I think my process has been also like, what are those things that I still believe, what I want to fight for now, and what's gonna, make me being every morning pursuing this thing that I really believe in. And more I feel like art is that space of like beauty and justice that really helps me to believe in something that it's actually worth it to fight for.
Your hope for this second album, what do you want people to get out of it?
I really just want people to, find 45 minutes to fall in love with life again and, find beauty. And I hope this album will be like a mirror of, where people will see themselves, and hopefully they will fall in love with their lives or with the way they see the world. Or
did it allow you to fall back in love with life?
Yeah. I'm super grateful. This album really showed me like it's worth it. All this journey, all this pain is worth it, and that life is beautiful, nature is beautiful, and there's always a way to like find beauty in everything. And this action of finding beauty and fighting for beauty is also like an active way of hope that really helps me to like live my life.
Silvana, what did I miss?
I think nothing. You're so good at this.
You're so good
at
this.
No. I'm really bad at this. You're so good at this.
For someone who purports to not be good at identifying and articulating emotions, you're like a pro.
Well, thank you. I've been doing interviews the whole day. So I feel like I already stretched for you.
Silvana, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for everything.